Most men actually try to flirt with women from their heads, and this is the complete wrong thing to do. The real correct way to flirt, the best way to connect with women, is something I call body-based communication. It's learning to think and communicate through and with your body. We're going to talk about that today. We're going to go deep into what is body-based communication. Before I do, I want to invite you to like, subscribe, and share. Love those comments. Those comments really help everybody on the channel to grow together. And I'm always checking them out the first week to see what you guys want more of and to really understand what this channel needs. So definitely comment in the video below. Now let's dive in. What do I mean by body-based communication? This is essential for understanding if you're really stuck with women, if you're really having trouble, if every time you go out you're getting rejected or you're getting phone numbers and nobody's calling you back, if your conversations are going nowhere, you're not getting second dates, this is essential to understand. Now, to understand this, we got to understand what you're doing wrong first, what's not working. And I was doing this in spades, as so many of my clients were. It's literally the process of communicating from your head. You see, so many men are communicating from this intellectual space up here. They're trying to seduce women intellectually. Think about it. Does it sound logical or right to you that this animal-based process of being seduced, this emotional process of going through the dance of seduction, getting turned on, feeling love for somebody, feeling curiosity, appreciation, joy, could be done logically? It's almost the antithesis of the idea, right? So if you're logically speaking to women and asking them, telling them they're beautiful, but you're using your analytical mind and you're not feeling it with your body, they're going to feel it. They're super sensitive to this. They have this like antenna that really picks this up. So I want to invite you into this idea that this might be what you're doing. And what does it look like? What does it feel like? And how do you get out of it? We're going to dive deep into that in a second. But let's go into what it looks like. What analytical communication looks like is literally what I said. Think about nerds. Think about people that are really intellectual. You can feel it on them, right? Why is that? Because they focus. Energy is a real thing in the body. And when energy gets concentrated right here, and it actually goes more into the side of the brain or gets pushing with the front of the brain, the neocortex. That's what it feels like, at least. I don't know if that's what's literally going on inside. It tends to feel like void of emotion and feeling. It feels very structured. You don't want to be Spock, right? You don't want to be a Vulcan. So this idea is almost what Spock speaks like. So for example, if I walk up to a woman and I say, wow, you're really beautiful. It's really nice to meet you. Where are you from? Oh, I'd love to get to know you better. Let me get your number. That's more of an analytical based communication. It's basically saying to them, I'm going to be no fun on a date. I'm going to be boring. I'm going to be uninteresting because I can't relate to my feelings. I can't relate to my heart. I can't relate to my personal power, which is the gut. And I can't relate to my turn on, which is the hips. We'll get more into that later. So if we go back to this idea of analytical-based communication, it's literally concentrating all your energy up here to try to intellectually understand how to speak, how to communicate, how to walk, how to talk. And that just doesn't work. You're never, I'm going to tell you this right now, you're never going to seduce a woman with your analytical mind. You're never going to get a woman to fall in love with you through your analytical mind. If you really want to get good at this, you've got to learn to think and feel with your body. That's where seduction happens. Your analytical mind might serve you in your tech job, in something that is very intellectual, that doesn't require you to have feeling. But seduction requires feeling. So let's take a look at that. What does that look like? What are the parts that go into really being able to communicate through the body and what does it look like to flirt through the body? And what does it look like to really connect and have a deep conversation that bonds you with somebody through the body, that creates a real connection? Well, first off, we got to understand that the mind, this part, is important. It's one of the most important parts. But when you put all your energy in the mind, it screws up the conversation. You see, when I am really curious about somebody, when I really want to get to know them, I hold that idea in mind. I put it right here in my prefrontal cortex, and I think to myself, who is this person? And then the next thing I do is I ask my body to let this person in. I'm really only holding about 1%, 2%, maybe up to 5% of my energy. I'm just estimating. I don't know what it actually is. Right about here. There's an intention. So I'm putting something into tension. Who are you? As I look at the camera, who are you? And as I look at the camera right now, I'm setting the intention to be able to explain this to everybody out there. Some people might get it quickly, but some people who are really in their heads, who the person I used to be, I picture that person and I think, am I communicating in a way that that person could get this too? I remember watching a video of a singer, Garth Brooks, right, the country singer, and he said, I often would go out into the audience and sit in the worst possible chair in a giant arena that he was performing at. And he says, I do that because I want to imagine what it's like to be on the stage trying to connect with that person. So he's sitting there getting that perspective, and then he's reaching out to the person that's hardest to reach, and then that helps to guarantee he's going to touch the whole audience. Well, I'm doing that with the camera right now. I'm asking myself, how can I reach the person out there that's having the hardest time understanding? And I'm holding that intention right here in mind, about 1%, 2%. I'm not forcing it, and I'm being very curious. I'm appreciating that person because I used to be that person. I have empathy for you or for that person or for my old self is another way to put it. The next thing I do is I feel my face, because imagine the face and the jaw allow for facial expressions. If I'm curious, I want her to see it in my micro expressions on my face. I don't want to get all rigid, tight. Hi, my name is Brian, and not show you any emotions because I'm afraid of what you'll say of me, think of me, or say about me. Hi, how you doing? What's up? That's that analytical conversation. Now I relax down and I hit that curiosity as I let you in, and maybe a smile comes across my face. Maybe I look down and I feel a little bit more, and then maybe appreciation comes across my face. Or maybe turn on. As I drop all the way down to my turn on, I look back, and maybe my micro expressions express that turn on, that interest, that curiosity, that turn on, the appreciation all mixed together. Maybe in a deep report conversation, there's even sadness about something that happened in the world. You know, maybe you're really sad about something and she sees it and she can empathize with your sadness. Maybe I have anger at a moment. But I own it with courage, and I show that anger, that I'm really passionate about something, and something that happened in the world made me angry, and she can completely relate. That expression comes through my micro expressions. The next thing it does is it hits the vocal cords, and you feel here, you got to have a good awareness here, because then she can feel the emotions in your vocal tone, in the way you're speaking, and what's coming through your voice. And again, you've got to be letting her in to do this, right? So there's that sense. This is where the heart walks and the vulnerability walks I've talked about in the past and some past videos come in. So if you got that down and now you're letting her in and you're letting her see your facial expressions, you're letting her hear your vocal tone, the next piece of the body-based communication is the heart. I drop into my heart and I open my heart completely as much as I can. I say completely because that's what I feel like right now, but sometimes it's just a little bit. Sometimes it's a lot. But the key is my heart open? When I'm letting a person in, I want to feel them with my heart. I want you to think about this for a minute. I want to feel you right here, right in this part of my body. And there's going to be a warmth or a tingle. And that's where the sadness, the curiosity, the appreciation, the compassion, and all the different emotions are going to come from. I'm going to feel them in this part of my body right here. And then that's going to, again, affect my facial expressions. It's going to affect my vocal tone. And so if I'm all over my head, I can't relate to the heart. That part of me that might be curious about what you're feeling, what you're thinking, and what's going on inside of you. The next thing the heart does is when I let her in, if she has an emotion, maybe she has sadness or curiosity, I can feel her with my heart. I can sit there and I can be in my heart and I can recognize the moment that I say something and she has an emotional reaction to it. And I can, in that moment, call it out. And I'm going to give you an example of this, a real world example that changed somebody's life. I had a client once, he was a painter, and his name is George. I'm just going to use his first name. And he was talking once, and he was talking about a line in a painting. And he was telling a whole story about his life, but he came to this point where he said that line in that painting. And I felt it immediately. There was a sadness, and I could feel it right here. And then he went on and started talking about something else. And I said, stop for a minute. What do you mean by a line in a painting? What are you talking about? And he goes, well, it's just a painting. It's not nothing important. And I said, no, it feels like it is. Tell me more about the line. And so he started to talk about the line more, and he got emotional. He actually started to cry a little bit. And I asked him what was coming up for him, and he goes, I realized that painting that he was talking about, that line on that painting was from high school. He had been a painter, an avid painter in high school, and he stopped painting as an adult. And he hadn't painted since high school. And he said, this This was his passion in high school, and he was missing it. There was a part of his heart craving to do this art again. Well, long story short, George started painting immediately because of that one conversation, because not just me, but several people in the room picked up on that line, the feeling on that word line. Fast forward years later to today, George has a gallery showing going on for all the latest paintings he's done. He is literally becoming a professional full-time painter, living his passion, living his dream, because somebody took the time to listen with their heart. And this is huge. This really connects people too. And I'm actually working on getting him in for a podcast so we can talk about it, so we can have a discussion. So the next thing that happens is when you feel it with the heart, you drop down to the stomach. And when you feel in the stomach, you got to relax right here, the muscles in the side of the stomach here a little bit. And you let the feeling of the heart, and it's almost like a waterfall. It drops down this way. And when I feel somebody with the stomach, there's a sense of certainty or power that comes across. Stomach is your confidence. Now, I'm going to warn you, the stomach, a lot of men today that come to me aren't feeling their stomach. They're uncomfortable feeling their stomach. They have gut issues. They have stomach issues. If you have stomach issues, you don't like to feel your stomach. When you feel it, it feels weird. Definitely comment below. This is very common, and I want people to understand what they're going through. But when you get down into the stomach is where you take an idea that you're receiving and you digest it, in a sense, energetically digest it. See, the body digests for a reason, because you're digesting energy first. So maybe you receive something with the heart that feels really powerful, and you digest it in the stomach, which then moves you into the initial stages of action and certainty and confidence that you can handle it. If you're resisting your stomach, you're not digesting in the stomach, and you drop this idea from the heart down to the stomach, or maybe there's something in the heart you don't want to feel. Maybe this woman's rejecting you. You walked up, you approached her, you shot your best shot, and she's being a little cold, and you don't want to feel it, you don't want to digest it. You might close off at the stomach and pull back and push back up into your heart, or even push all the way up to your head. And what happens is the more you do that in life, the more the stomach starts to, in a sense, stop feeling. So the more the stomach stops feeling, doesn't want to feel. It's called indigestible morsel conflict, or indigestible anger in German medicine. The more the body does that, the more likely you're going to end up with stomach issues, food intolerances, weird stuff like that. And this is really powerful when you think about it, because as you begin to feel and digest with the stomach again, even the things you don't want to digest, the more your power returns, the more you can handle difficult situations, because this is where confidence is. Now, there's another beautiful thing that happens, and this is really cool, is the stomach is your instinctual brain. It's in the now. It's definitive. It's power. So when the stomach comes back online and really starts feeling, the gut starts to give you instinctual hits. Go here, do this, say this to this person, say this to her. And it's shocking how accurate it can be when it's fully back online and you're comfortable feeling it. Then it's like you get an intuitive hit. You trust it because you can feel it here. You can feel it in your heart, then you feel it in your stomach, and it feels right. It feels certain. It feels definite. It feels definitive. You take action, and you're almost shocked at how amazing things go. The right people show up. The right situations show up. You start to hit more flow states. When the stomach is in alignment with your intention, and you're holding an intention, a clear intention, it's not faltering. It's not wavering. It's not changing every 10 minutes. And then you're feeling it in your stomach. Your stomach then helps to create a flow state for you. You have the idea in mind. And then the stomach is saying, go here, do this. And that sense of flow state in life can start to develop. And I love it when you're hitting many flow states through life. Flow states when you're writing your book, flow states when you're flirting with women, flow states when you're approaching, flow states when you're listening. And we'll get into that in a little bit, because listening is very important. So now we're hitting the stomach, and all this power's in the stomach. And each one of these I could talk an hour on, and maybe I should. But you're in the stomach, and you're feeling that certainty, that definitiveness, that power. And then you're going to move on from there down to the turn on. Now I want to back this up just a hair. I want to say, when you're in the stomach, if you're sitting here and there's a definitive certainty and a vulnerability in the heart, and then let's say I go to the head again, and I'm up here, and I'm like, hey, how you doing? My name's Brian. What's your name? Love to get to know you. Love to get to know you. There's a sense of, it's even harder to think up here. That's why we get a little jittery and weird. When we drop into the heart, it's a little more here. It's like, hey, how you doing? What's your name? When you drop down to the stomach, it's a little more focused, but you're receiving the person too. I'm feeling them in my heart, feeling them in the stomach where I get gut instincts. And my gut instincts will tell me, ask her about her grandma for some reason. because she said something about her grandma and you felt an emotion, just like the line in the painting. You go, hey, that was really interesting what you said about your grandma. You know, seems like you really care about her. And she goes, yeah. And then maybe there'll be a little emotional moment where she really bonds with you because she misses her. Maybe she passed away. I've had this stuff happen. And then she starts talking more and more, and she just really appreciates that you could pick up on this stuff, that you listened, that you helped to pull her into spaces that really meant a lot to her. Now, this is the deep rapport part, not the flirting part. On the other side, you might get instinctual hits about flirting. I had a client once that got a gut instinct to say to a girl, he was flirting with girls on the street out at 3rd Street Promenade in Santa Monica, and his gut instinct said in that moment, said to him, you have the best resting bitch face I've ever seen. And he's like, I don't know why I said it. I don't know what came over me, but I said it. And she laughed really hard. He said she loved it. Her and her friend. They ended up going over to, I think it was Barney's Beanery, hanging out all night, went back to her place. They literally told me they almost had a threesome. They all got a little wild together, and he had an amazing night. Now, I'm not saying that's going to happen instantly. You have to train yourself to feel these areas. You have to be calibrated. You have to really be in alignment with these instincts, these feelings. And I don't recommend saying edgy stuff unless you're really grounded, solid human being like that. But things like that do happen. Now, the next part is you drop down to your hips. Your hips are your creative energy. This is your turn on. This is where passion comes from. This is the area that makes a baby. And when you can feel with your hips, you can feel turn on and passion for life. You can feel turn on and passion for the person in front of you. You can feel turn on and passion for your job. But when you feel your hips and you rest in those hips and you take her in and you have that turn on, you don't apologize for it. You don't make it wrong. That's the creepy part, right? And you just own it. She can feel that turn on come off of you. And it can be exciting for her. It can be interesting. You can be curious. You can be a little more naughty. As you're comfortable with your hips, you can say slightly racier things and get away with it. You can say, there's something about you. I like you. And she can feel that slightly penetrating but receiving energy because you're good at receiving her and you're good at taking that turn on energy and then looking into her a little bit and then going back and receiving her again. It's this cycle of energy from you to her and back. You're creating a bubble. And that brings me to the next one, to the root or the ground, the perineum, the base of the spine. Some people might say we're working with the chakras here. It depends on how you want to look at it. But when you feel your legs connected into the earth, and you can feel this sense of the earth supporting you, which is the supply chain of everything physical in this world, right? Everything physical in the environment right now, in the room you're sitting in the space you're in, was literally created from the earth. All the material things were created from the earth, including human beings. We need the earth to survive. We get electrons from the earth that power up our bodies and give us energy. So your connection to the earth is your ability to take that creative energy, plant it in the earth, and then let that energy come back up and allow you to manifest, to become a really successful, powerful manifester. So the last part of this is when you're feeling somebody planting and receiving from the earth, makes them feel safe, contained, grounded. This is one of the first things I developed was my grounding. And whenever I would hold a girl's hand, they would be like, God, it relaxes me so much. And in the beginning, I didn't totally understand what it was, but I kind of learned with time that if I would unground my legs intentionally, they would get ungrounded. And when I'd ground, they would relax and want to cuddle up next to me or feel safe with me. When you combine it with turn on, you got safety and edginess, right? And that's really cool. And the last part is I learned to feel my back. I learned to let it all flow up my back and flow out. And it's almost like it comes out the top of my head, down the back of my arms. And that's the expression of these energies. That's the ability to be a bigger energy, to be comfortable expressing yourself in the world, being seen by the world. This is why embodiment is so important. Looking at a woman and saying, I like you from your head is one thing, but looking at her and looking into her and feeling her at the same time and saying, there's something about you. You know, I just had to meet you. You're really interesting. It's a whole nother kind of vibration, as you can say. Flirting too, it changes from there. You know, I have a lot of videos on flirting, but when you flirt from your head, hey, you're a goofball. I wanted to say hi, is very different than when you flirt from your body and you drop down, open your heart, ground it into the ground and say, you're a goofball. You know, there's something about you, but you're kind of weird. And then owning that space. Subcommunication to women is everything. Play is everything. If you want to get good at meeting women, you want to get good at dating, you want to get good at long-term relationships, you want to get good at sales, social skills, being around people, you got to get good at thinking, communicating, feeling, and flowing with your body. If you're somebody that's stuck in your head, start learning to feel your body right away. That's what yoga is really about. It's not about flexibility or exercise. It's about getting all the stuff you don't want to feel out of the body so you'll be comfortable being in your own body again, feeling your own body. That's what my embodiment work's about. When I teach embodiment work, it's all about feeling deeper into the body. It's about building that relationship to the subtlest feeling down to your littlest toe, which the toes have a huge effect on the body. The wrists have a huge effect. So much of the body is all about communication. So I want to invite you into this world. It's a whole different world of thinking, being, and moving. This is largely why I believe the athletes and the artists get the girl. The athletes are more in their body just by being an athlete. The artist is more in his body just by being an athlete. They may or may not know it, but that's a lot of what's going on. This is why the nerds don't typically get the girl, because they value this energy that's stuck up here primarily, and they're not spreading it through the whole body and developing flow states and feeling and play and banter. They're not learning to ride the waves of emotions that fly in the body. Now, I did say there was one more thing I wanted to talk about, listening. When you let somebody into the body, you listen more. You pick up on their emotions, their feelings. I alluded to this with some of the examples. And when you listen, people feel it. They can feel you letting them in and picking up on their sadness, their grief, their happiness, their joy. And they can feel when you pick up on the sentence they said that really meant something to them. And that's why oftentimes the guy that speaks less gets the girl, if he's a good listener, if he's really present, if he's receiving her. And this is what I believe. I believe the guy that makes a girl feel safe brings a little bit of his edge, his turn on at the same time, and can push boundaries while making her feel safe to push her own boundaries, where she feels like you're taking her on an adventure. Yeah, I'm going to push boundaries, but this guy's got my back. And they can give her space to play and be and have fun while still keeping her safe. That's the guy that gets the girl. So hopefully you enjoyed this video. Hopefully you got a lot of value out of it. I really want to hear your comments on this one. Put the comments below and let's all learn together. Let's all explore these comments together. I'll be watching this video specifically. As you can see, I'm in a studio today. I'm not always in the studio. I figured I'd shoot a video from here for you guys and just see how it feels and really take time to explain what I teach. And I don't just teach this about with dating. I teach it with relationships. I teach it with sales. I teach it with making money. These principles apply to so many things. A deep level of embodiment can blow up your life and add zeros to your income, can get you the woman of your dreams, can do so much for you. And avoiding embodiment can leave you stuck in life, in my personal opinion. Like if I hadn't done this type of work, I never would have changed, and I'd probably be living close to a trailer park right now. It's this work that got me out of my head, got me feeling, got me through all my grief and sadness and anger and resentment towards my family, and allowed me to start to experience love for the world. And i.e. also changed my dating life and my relationships with women. With that said, remember, only the confident really live. Have a beautiful day, and I'll see you in the next video.